How good is Black Ops 2? First off, let's talk developers. Activision, located in such locations, is a top developer. So we know that it's able to pull out lots of games at a time. And if we take the amount of games pulled out compared to its workforce labor in an amount of time, it can be determined that they're able to pull out 9 or 10 games at a time. And when compared to the stiff competition given to it by its leading competitor Ubisoft, we can decide that they are putting as much work as they can into as many games as they possibly can at a time. But the question is this a bad thing? So in this channel, I will be showing you the specs, tech, and development side of a game to measure and review the quality of a game. Unlike in other channels where they use more of a personal opinion, I will be showing you the tech side and development of a game, helping you understand the quality of a game simply on its basis. So we all know that Call of Duty Black Ops 2, the #1 selling game in America and statistically and possibly the best selling game in the world, takes a lot of development, as all games take a lot of development. But how does it compare to these other games? How long does it take to develop Call of Duty Black Ops 2? What are its qualifications? How much land labor does it take to use it? How much tech does it have? What efficiency and credibility does it have? Are the developers qualified? Are they renowned? Is the layout good? We want to know these sort of things so we can judge the game on a tech side instead of, was it fun to play? We want to know if it was good on its basis. First off, let's talk developers. Activision is a top developer, so we know that it's able to pull out lots of games at a time. And if we take the amount of games pulled out compared to its workforce labor in an amount of time, it can be determined that they're able to pull out 9 or 10 games at a time. And when compared to the stiff competition given to it by its leading competitor Ubisoft, we can decide that they are putting as much work as they can into as many games as they possibly can at a time. But the question is this a bad thing? Activision reported last year that it has roughly 7,300 workers working for them right now. So if we divide this number by 10, which is the number of games we're assuming they're pulling out at a time, we can determine that there are about 730 people working on a game at a time, which is a decent number. But when compared to smaller companies who put everyone on the workforce at the same time, it's about the same amount. But is it? Activision reported last year that they had roughly 7,300 people working for them at a time. This means that if we divide it by 10, which is the number of games we're assuming they come out with at a time, they have roughly 730 people working on each game at a time. This seems like a lot of people, but is it? So first of all, I want to explain that my shirt, yes, it is different, because I know that a lot of you haters out there are going to go all, "You changed your shirt! You suck at editing!" And so really, this is just proof that I want to inform you guys, let you know what's really up with these video games, and I care about what they look like. So I usually shoot them over multiple days. I know it's my first video, but I plan to pull out a few more in recent times. Aside from that boring fact, Activision has in-home a lot of employees who do things that aren't directly directed, that sounds weird, but anyway, directly directed to the video game. They have people that do in-house voice acting. They have people who do the little green screen thing where like they're posing with little dots on them and they're all green, and it's to show the motion that they should copy to put into a video game. They also have a lot of publicists, videographers, people who do things that aren't directly tied to the video game that a lot of smaller companies will hire out to have. So I'm gonna assume, and now this part isn't science, but I'm gonna assume that Activision will have less employees by probably a third. So I'm gonna say they have about 500 employees working on a game at a time, which is actually pretty high still, whereas a lot of small companies still only have about 300 workers in total working on one game at a time. Yes, so although a lot of people love to hate on them, Activision is really huge and largely successful. They have tons of people working for them. So we have to give Call of Duty Black Ops 2 a huge bonus for the amount of people they have working on Call of Duty Black Ops at a time. And I didn't even mention that they make their game with co-developer Treyarch. This adds so many more people to the project that the amount of people working in Call of Duty Black Ops 2 is immensely huge. It's large. There's like no games that have that many people working on them at a time. And that's the reason that when a lot of people like Call of Duty, it's so well polished. The interface, the textures, everything is done very polished. But it also comes through and shows the lack of originality, because when there's so many people who want an opinion, you go for a generic look. You don't go for what might go outside the box and risk a few things, because when there's so many people who have to make their paycheck, it's better to just play it safe. But we can't blame Black Ops 2 lack of originality solely on numbers. We have to blame it on the developers. There are really no renowned or Steven Spielbergs of video games working on the Call of Duty franchise. Therefore, the game isn't Uncharted, Metal Gear Solid. It's nothing really that unique or original, because there's no one who has those unique or original ideas working on that team. Call of Duty does have an extremely well-polished gameplay, just like the rest of it. The gameplay is fluid, the buttons make sense, and a lot of games follow the same button controller layout. Black Ops 2 was in development since November 8th of 2011 and continued in development until roughly sometime in June. And that's why when you play a Call of Duty game, it's the same game with the different gun. Lastly, here's the tech of Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Tech. Call of Duty Black Ops 2 runs on a semi-decent processor. It has an IW engine, not to be confused with the Infinity engine, which means it is capable of creating images at 60 frames per second, which is nothing that special. Second of all, it was developed with an i5 core processor, meaning the shadows, frankly, suck. Realize that next time you play a Call of Duty game. Look for the shadowing. You'll realize that the shadowing is poor and not well done. And that's because of what it's developed on. And lastly, it's capable of generating 3D graphics at a semi-decent rate. But a lot of times, things you're seeing in a Call of Duty game, especially in the background, are actually 2D. They're generated in 2 dimensions, which means the backgrounds that you're seeing in Call of Duty are usually not 3D. They deceive you, like when you are in kindergarten and you draw the block with multiple sides, so you think that it's a 3D, but it's still 2D. It's not generated that way. And you'll notice that that's why the world of Call of Duty looks more plain, and why they have the ash falling through the sky everywhere when you're playing the game. In the end, I give Call of Duty Black Ops 2 a 7 out of 10 in terms of development. And the positives of this are refined polish, plenty of man labor, efficient surface and preface, and the best marketing. The negatives: blah engine, short development time, mediocre developers, no refined graphics, and little originality in script. Hey guys, so thanks for watching. This is my first video, and I'm hoping to pull out a few more in the future. I'm hoping maybe every other Friday I'm going to release some of these videos on new games. If there's a certain game you would like me to review, just put it in the comment section and I'll be sure to review that. And I would love for you guys to subscribe also. It really helps out a lot, and be sure to watch more of my videos to come. Thanks.